What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Stereo Therapy. I'm your host, Lisa, and this is episode 119. Today on the show, I was joined by Romin Mattison of the band Commoner. I would love to take credit that I stumbled upon this amazing band on my own. I did not. Shout out to Carrie Ann of Big Picture Media and Nick at New Morality Zine for sending Romin and Commoner my way. Romin and I chat all about the early days of falling in love with music and his dad's musical taste really shaping him and leading him on his path with his musical taste. We also dive in, of course, being from Arizona, and what does that environment do to inspire the music of Commoner? We, of course, dive into their new EP that has been out since April, Change of Heart, everything that goes along with that, whether it was the production, the inspiration, the struggles in that, and what they're most proud of. You know us, you know what we do here. So, of course, we dived into music and mental health and how songwriting has been really therapeutic to Roman. And I love diving into that because I think us as a listener, it's therapeutic, but it's therapeutic in another way to those creating the music. We dive into so much more in this one. This was such a great episode. I appreciate Roman for taking the time for me. So let's just get into it. Here's my conversation with Romin Mattison of the band Commoner.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. It's going good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Say
Good.
that's always the hardest part, right? Isn't it? It's
Yeah.
like,
Good. Yeah, I've got a new computer, so we're working with it.
and I know Zoom is either it's really friendly
Yeah.
or it can't be. I've had some people
Yeah.
where they're like, yeah, I mean, I'm no problem. And then some people are like, yeah, I was trying to figure it out. And I'm always like,
Yeah.
again, I am never to judge. I do what I
Yeah.
can too.
No, straight up, yeah, it's intense.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, but again, thank you for making the time to come on
Of
here.
course. No, thank you for
No,
having me. Sorry, there was a bunch of craziness happening these past 2 weeks, so it was kind of nuts.
you're good. No, you're good. And then is the rest of the band coming or is it just you and I
I
today?
think it's just me.
Okay,
We're
cool.
rocking it that
All
way.
right. Awesome.
Of
But
course.
so something I really like to bring the conversation back to the early days for you. What were
Yeah.
your first memories of falling in love with music? Like whether there was a
Yeah.
record, a time, a place. A lot of people say like in the car with their parents, but what was it for you that you were like, "Hey, this is really, really cool."
Yeah, I think for me, the start of it all was kind of my dad. So he has always just been listening to all of what I now call my favorite bands. And it was kind of crazy. Like my whole life, I just kind of grew up on thinking that music was what everyone listened to. So like I was listening to a lot of like Incubus, a lot of like I hate to say it, but like Deftones is like one of my favorite bands.
Mhm.
Just like all of those. Like 90s new metal-ish bands like Linkin Park.
Mhm.
And so I listened to a lot of that kind of growing up. And then it originally, I was just kind of like, I should be in a band
Mhm.
at some point. And I remember I was like 9 years old and I was telling my dad, like, I want to be one of two things. I want to be an MMA fighter or I want to sing in a band. He's like, okay, sure, son. And
Right.
one of them is working out. So that's cool.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And isn't that something how these days, like even when you said it, oh yeah, Deftones is one of my favorite bands, like
Yeah.
how people are these days. Like
Yeah.
sometimes when you
Yeah.
say, even for me as a girl, like imagine that, right? Like I say,
Yeah.
oh, I love, because I do love Deftones, but
Yeah.
it's like
Definitely.
when I say it, people are like, well, of course, you're an old girl. Like, of course you like them. Like, but they're amazing. They're incredible. Like, why is that people almost like sometimes what
Yeah.
you grew up on, like, not shame you, but like be
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, of course, everybody likes
And
that.
I think it became very much like the cool thing to like recently, which is
Hmm.
totally cool. I think it's a cool thing to like, but
Yeah.
I think it definitely got oversaturated, and a lot of people just now have this like stigma with it of being like, oh, you're now like in this category of person who likes music. I
Mhm.
don't really care. I mean, I've
Yeah.
just listened to it my whole life, so I don't feel like that. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of how it all started for me.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, like Incubus. I could hear a little bit of Deftones influence even in you guys a little bit. Like
Yeah,
originally I could hear it a little bit because I kept saying like, what does this sound like to me? I know like what people say it sounds like, but I
yeah,
was just like, what is this? And I'm
yeah.
like, that's
What's
probably
it
why
really sound like?
that's why I like gravitated towards it. I
Yeah,
guarantee that like right away where I was like, yes, okay, this is one I really, really like. And I'm glad because like oversaturation of like pop punk these days. Like I love a
yeah.
good pop punk, but every time you turn
Same.
on TikTok or something, it's like, okay,
There's
but
pop punk band. Yeah,
where's the other music that's like out there where it's like you can really feel something in it, not to like quote movements, but like feel something, like
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I
One of my
want
favorite records
that.
of all time.
Oh, and
Yeah.
yeah, no wonder. Like
Yeah. And
I'm
I think
getting
like
that.
that did a lot of like moves for the music scene. I think
Mhm.
that and Youth by Citizen, those two kind of just like mended a big group of people to just be like, I want to make music that sounds like this, which is great. I think that's awesome, and that's definitely what we are.
Yeah.
We
Oh
started
yeah.
off as like a movements band, and then we
Uh,
kind of like went in a different direction. But yeah,
But yeah, because I do, I
interesting.
do, I do think that movement of like the 2010s changed a lot because a lot
Oh,
of
absolutely.
people, it was like, oh, this is what we're listening to. And then some people forget what great music was in the 2010s, like depending on your age, like the people that are like,
Yeah,
oh, we're the old heads, we're the eldest emos,
the
right?
eat
So,
it elder
so
emos. Yeah,
that's not cool, but it's like,
yeah.
no, 2010s had some really
Oh,
great stuff
absolutely.
that I think is why we're where we're at today. We're like bands like yours and other people coming
Yeah,
up. It's like,
definitely.
that's where you hear it. So like, oh yeah, I see, I heard all that. Like, no wonder I
Yeah,
gravitated. But obviously too, like where you're from, another thing we love to touch on is music scenes. I
yeah,
wanna you could kind of take us to Arizona, like because I think we hear about the New Yorks, the
yeah,
LAs, even the
absolutely.
Midwest, you hear about those. But
Yeah.
what is special about Arizona and that music scene to you?
I think what's special about Arizona is the lack of kind of anything. Like,
Hmm.
and I won't say Arizona as a whole because Phoenix is kind of one of those bigger cities that is huge. We're from Tucson, and
Right.
our drummer is actually from Phoenix, but most of us are from Tucson. One of our members is from San Diego, actually. But like the core of the group kind of started in Tucson. And I feel like the reasoning for us being creatives is because Tucson's a very big creative space. It's very accepting of that, and it helps you get off your feet in that way. There's a lot of places that start you out really nicely, help you get into the scene, help you do these things. Whereas it's a little bit harder in these bigger cities, such as like, I don't know, LA. LA is one of the hardest places to play ever because it's
Hmm.
so competitive. There's so many bands out there that are just doing the thing. And, out here, there's not a lot. There really isn't. There's very good bands when they are around, but I can name like 20 here versus in LA, you can name like 1,000. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So it's I think it's special in that way that every band that does actually get off of its feet here in Tucson does have something special about them, which is really cool. Whereas these bigger cities, just there's so much you can't see all of them.
Mhm.
I think growing up in Tucson really helped with writing music that's very like soul searchy. I guess is the
Mhm.
best way to put it. It makes you like, it forces you to find something to write about, and I think that makes people inherently more creative out here, which I don't know, I think I'm grateful for that.
I get what you're saying too there because even being like I'm originally from Chicago, but now I'm in New Jersey. I'm like I'm spoiled. I
Oh,
had
cool.
Chicago, now New Jersey, but it's like
Yeah,
I see that where like Chicago had a very tight-knit scene,
yeah,
but it was the oversaturation of the bands and the music, and it was like every week, but it was really really cool and like tight knit. Everybody helped each other a little bit, but then
yeah,
there was always that little bit of that like ego a little bit where it was like
absolutely.
trying to one up. And then I'm out here in New
Mm.
Jersey, and I'm seeing what you're seeing in LA. I
Yeah,
know LA has to be crazy, but New Jersey here like it's
yeah,
very it tends to be gatekeepy by like especially
yeah.
Asbury Park, and I didn't even know that until I saw a band we had on here, and I went to go see them, and they played their first one of their first shows in Asbury, and they're like, yeah, it's like really hard to get in here because again, it's who you know. There's so many bands, there's so many this. I'm like, I guess I was just lucky in
Yeah,
Chicago, where like it wasn't like that. Like, yes, there were a lot of bands, but like it didn't seem that way. Like you could just
yeah,
go play anywhere, and I was like, wow, that's got to be so difficult for a band that just wants to play.
100%.
It's
It's
oh
it's it's I feel like Jersey, and I've never been to Jersey, and
yeah.
I've been to New York a few times. That's where all my family's from,
Hmm.
Long Island. So I've been out there, and it definitely feels that way. It feels very like the market is super hard to kind of break out of a little
Hmm.
bit. So you have like, at least in our scene, you have a lot of really good bands, but a lot of them do get forgotten, just because of the fact that there's 10 other bands who are doing something at least similar enough. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy how that works. And I'm fortunate, at least for the music part of things, to be growing up and doing the stuff in Tucson, because it kind
Hmm.
of sets us apart on the map from everyone else
Oh
at
yeah.
that very least. Yeah, it's
Yeah, and
crazy.
like what you're inspired by too, right? Because like where you
Yeah,
guys are and that just that environment versus say someone like myself from the Midwest, like I'm not going to be inspired by those same things if I was
yeah,
I love music so much. I have no musical bone. I have tried to play the guitar. I've tried all that.
Yeah.
So I appreciate like hearing about that. And part of our podcast is music and mental health and just how music is
Yeah.
that aid for you.
Yeah.
So how is being a musician and writing music, how is that almost like a therapeutic process for you to process these emotions where like maybe it was the best way to process them versus like other ways you could have, but for some reason
Yeah.
musically you were able to put pen to paper and do that.
It's a great question. I think kind of like wrapping back to being in Tucson, I think there really is not much to do past living here for just like a year or two.
Yeah.
So I think rather than being able to occupy your mind on these things outside, and you can't really go outside during the summer here. I don't know if you know, but it's
No.
like 110 degrees out.
Oh yeah, no way.
Right now it's like 101 or something crazy, but
Wow.
I think there's like a serious mental almost like drain, like you're just draining all the time because of that. There's just a lack of things to do and it's so hot. So you can't really go out and do these things. And I feel like growing up here, it gets kind of depressing a little bit where you're in this loop of like, what do I even do? Do I sit in my room all day? Do I do this? Do I do that? Like, what am I doing? And you eventually kind of feel trapped a little bit. And I
Hmm.
feel like that's where I found music. I found music based off of trying to get out of feeling trapped and feeling like, among other things that were going on in my life, trying to just kind of like escape that and just like sing and scream about it. And eventually you get to a point where you're like, okay, I can now deal with these things head on rather than kind of feel like I have to sit in my room all day and
Hmm.
just do nothing. And then you meet up with your friends and you now have a thing to do, which is awesome.
Hmm.
And so I think that that's definitely the biggest thing for me is I just get to play shows, meet people, have fun, and like sing about stuff that I'm very passionate about and spread whatever message it may be about my own life, and hopefully people connect with that. And I think that really helped me on like a mental wave almost.
I can see that too because like for me that's how what music is for me. It's always been that
Yeah,
escape. And I've always wondered like the people that write the music, that has to be an even bigger escape in a different way
yeah,
because that's what you're writing about. And again, you can take 10 different people and listen to the same song and they'll have a different
absolutely.
reason that and even probably way different than what you write about. So it's
Yeah,
like, wow, they got that from that and they feel connected. And again, it's like it all goes back to the music scene, like you said, finding stuff to do with your friends. Well, if you
yeah,
have a good local scene, you have that common thing of like, okay, music. And
yeah,
then and now it's okay, even better. It's your music. You're playing the shows, you're doing that and writing the music. I can definitely see how that's so therapeutic. And especially if it's something maybe you don't want to talk about, like you are talking about it with words, but differently, like, okay, you're
yeah,
having a conversation, but now you're able to write about it in a way that maybe is
absolutely.
special to you only. And then again, someone's probably not going to know exactly what you're talking about. So it's almost
Yeah.
like you do still get to keep it a little bit tucked
Yeah, yeah.
in.
I don't have to go in vast detail about these things that
Right.
like hurt a lot, but I do get to say what I need to be said or what needs to be said from me. And it's very cool. It's like a middle ground. It's like I
Hmm.
don't have to share everything, but I can share enough to make myself feel better while hopefully somebody else connects with that and helps themselves on a deeper level too, which I think is really cool. And I think with the music we play too, there's a lot of like emotion behind stuff like this
Hmm.
where, I get to say the things that, maybe some other bands wouldn't say. And
Hmm.
especially in new stuff that we're writing, it's definitely it's a little bit more deeper than maybe some stuff previous, which is crazy because to me, it was already like breaking the surface
Hmm.
level for me. And now this newer stuff is like kind of even past that, which is cool. I like that. It's like exciting.
Yeah, and you get to like, I love when bands kind of get on a deeper level and almost make you think about certain things even in yourself, where you're not
Yeah.
like, okay, here's a cookie. And again, there's this time and a place for that cookie cutter stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm that person, like I was just talking to someone a couple hours ago on here about like the band Balance and Composure. And I'm like,
Oh,
they're a
amazing.
band, they're a band that like, I'm like, to me, I feel they're still underrated, but they're that
Yeah.
band I turn to that I'm like, I can get lost like in a musical
Yeah.
journey. And I
Yeah.
even felt like that way a little bit with this new EP listening to it. I was like, you almost get lost in it a little bit too,
That's
like where
cool.
you're like, I'm feeling those same moments.
Yeah.
And it was really cool to be able to say, like, yeah, there's a place for that music and we need to
Yeah.
boost that up like, instead of just, yeah, the cookie cutter stuff's great. And there's a, like, again, there's a place for it. But like,
Yeah.
I love to be sitting there and like, whoa, like after, like, there's little parts and songs and moments. And that's what I like to pick apart. So again, I'm not
Yeah.
surprised hearing that. why I gravitated towards this EP in your band when I got sent it. So for sure.
That I appreciate that a ton. There's a band out right now called Downward that just put out an album, and I think that's the biggest example for speaking their mind, but they don't like say anything directly. It feels like
Mhm.
I got their vinyl. I was just reading the lyrics on the back, and they use a lot of like specific moments of like how they're like certain things they did in a day that really describes how you could see like the bigger picture about how they feel,
Mhm.
just off of describing like I went outside and I got tools to do this thing.
Mhm.
And you think about it and you're like, okay, it builds this bigger picture of every day must feel the exact same, doing this exact same thing. And then you start to get this feeling of like hopelessness. And that album does so well at doing something without directly telling you it, but you can kind of
Mhm.
understand like, wow, this is deep.
Wow, I'm like, I gotta
And
check that out. I gotta like
oh, it's
save that and go check that out.
no joke, one of the best albums ever made, in my opinion.
Um,
It's called Downward 2. It's like their second self-titled. They put it out
okay.
like a month ago. It's so good.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, all
It's
right, I'm
incredible.
learning. All right, let me check this out because that's up
It's
my
incredible.
alley. Um,
Oh, you'd love it. Yeah, it's good.
yeah, but obviously too, like what I was learning a little bit too, this started, I mean, your musical journey started out like as a solo effort, and now you have the band.
Yeah.
So for you and this journey of that, and then now creating this new EP and having it out for all of us to hear and even probably play some of the songs, what are you most proud of having this EP out?
I think it was the first time that on a personal level, and I guess I could speak with everyone on this. We've been writing these songs for like a really long time. Some of them were newer than others, but the Parting Gift, the last song on the EP, that one has been written for like a year and a half, almost 2 years, and just like different variations of it kept happening. And then we worked with our producer to kind of make it all make sense, because it's been through 100 different variations. I
Mhm.
think I'm the most proud of that because I feel like that's when the band really started, was when that song was made. That's when we had our guitar player join. Well, we had one guitar player previous, but our newer guitar player joined. And it kind of, that's when it clicked for me, like it all felt right. And then our newest drummer joined about a year ago, and that's kind of when it all kind of came together. So I feel like once we finished recording that song in particular, that's when it felt the most proud to me, because that song is also very it's like a meaningful song for me.
Mhm.
It's just, I think that in specific was the biggest for me. But overall, I think this is just, it's the most comfortable we've felt with our music so far. um Not that we haven't felt comfortable before, but we've definitely had songs where we're just like, like we
Mhm.
don't really care. But I
Right.
feel like this is going to be kind of timeless to us. It's the first time all of our members have been in a studio together, writing and recording, and really just working on these songs as hard as we can in real time. And I think I'm really proud of that aspect of everything. And I'm
Yeah.
sure they would tell you the same
Yeah.
thing.
No, and I was gonna bring up, oh my gosh, and I do not want to butcher his name. Zach, is it Zach Tuck? Is that how you
That's what I
is
thought it
it
was.
Tuck?
It's Zach Tush.
Okay, Tush.
Yeah.
You know what is so funny is because I kid you not, because I'm like, I never want to get people's name wrong. I
Yeah.
looked through all the interviews. Like, I'm like, all right, he worked
Yeah.
on Knock Loose. He worked on Touche
Yeah.
Amore, all these bands. Somebody has to say this guy's name because he's incredible at what he does. What
Yeah.
is it? So what did so everyone that reached out to me, I even put on like an Instagram, like, somebody help me out. How do I pronounce this name? Nobody had it. But how was that? Like you touched on it a little bit right now, but like for you, what was that like knowing he's worked with bands like Knocked Loose and just that massive record?
Yeah.
Going into that, what were you most excited about to get to work with him?
I honestly, it was crazy because
Hmm.
we originally went to him when he worked on all that I think I really cared about on things he worked at. Was he did Touche Amore, he did some credits on Feel Something, and then he did
Hmm.
this band called Kraus, who's a shoegaze band from, well, now they're in LA. Amazing band. So I think we went to him being like, okay, these are amazing sounding songs,
Right.
and we just have to go there. It just feels right, and we did, and it felt right.
Yeah.
It was all great, and we did the first two singles with him, the Misery Mistaken, Whatever's Left Is Yours, two singles,
Mhm.
and it was amazing. It was the best piece of music I've done to that point. And then we went back to him recently and did Change of Heart. Those, I feel like when we're in the studio with him, everything feels so like natural. It feels right. It feels like we're making a record with a very good friend of ours,
Mhm.
not just like a producer that we're working
Right.
with. It feels like he's the sixth member of the band, and I feel like that's super important to me personally because when we're sharing ideas or like lyrics that are really hard to communicate because it might be just hard for us to share like personal information, right? You want to have somebody who is understanding of that and really cares about you as an artist,
Mhm.
and he cares about us as an artist. He's a great friend of mine now, and I honestly can't envision myself working with anyone else, and I don't want to.
Mhm.
So I just think it felt natural. Everything feels natural when we work with him, and I can't say enough great things about him. If there's any band in the world that's looking to record, go to him. He's amazing.
Mhm.
He's fantastic.
Oh, it seems, and again, like hearing what he's done. I mean, yeah, I love Touche Amore. So like
He's so good.
when I heard like him, like just being a part of that, and then hearing him like influence part like on this EP for you guys, I was just like, yeah, there's no wonder why people want to go and work with him. Look at
Yeah,
what he's done, and look at you could tell, and even reading like his website and just while he's about and his passion, I was like, yeah, this is really so. That's awesome. So I wanted to touch on that because I
yeah,
was like, I gotta know, like, I will never work with this man, but he seems really talented. So anyone that's
yeah,
on with this, yeah, there's no way that would ever happen. But oh, that's so cool. And like
yeah,
that's awesome to hear that influence and like that impact on you too as a band of like
yeah,
just like a friend. Because in this industry, I mean, you guys, anyone knows, you
yeah.
gotta keep those people close because it can
You
be a
do.
very tough industry. And
It's a vicious industry out there. Like
yeah,
it's hard to find people who genuinely do care about the artist.
yeah.
And luckily recently we've just been working with a ton of people who do and really care about us as people too, and are we're very fortunate to have that because not a
Yeah.
lot of bands do. There's markets, where you can't find the right people sometimes to have back you or to back.
Mhm.
And I'm just very thankful we have both. we're very
Yeah.
we're very fortunate for that. There's not a lot of bands that can get that.
No, yeah, it's too, and like the people that want to see you win will always help you get there. That's what I always
Absolutely.
think in that, and it sounds like you found that, which is great. And
It's
not
awesome.
to bring it down to negative about the EP, but like any
Mm.
obstacles for you that maybe you faced in this EP and the process that you're looking back. I'm glad that we had those obstacles to overcome
Yeah.
because now we're like a better band and we made a better EP.
Yeah. I think just hearing insight was a big one because there's a
Mhm.
lot of ideas we'll bring to the table because we brought 5 or 6 songs to the EP and decided to narrow it down to three. I'm glad we got the insight because it could have been three completely different songs, and it looking back at it, if we were to do those three other songs, I don't think the EP would be nearly as good as what it is now because
Mhm.
it lets us refine those three other songs in for future projects. So I think that was probably the biggest one for me. Being able to narrow it down to the best stuff and have Zach kind of sit there and be like, hey, these three are the best because of the fact that they're the most cohesive. They're the most well written as it stands. And I think we can make them even better while we're in the studio right now.
Mhm.
And I think those were the biggest obstacles because they might have, for some of us, they weren't the songs we wanted to do.
Right.
We had three other songs where we were like, I really want to do this one because I can see that it could sound so much better recorded and all of this. And I'm just very glad we didn't have to push through that because I don't think it would have been as nearly as good of a process.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the biggest obstacle in the moment for sure.
Yeah. I even know, like, even me doing this when I hit an obstacle, very different than making an EP and recording. But when you hit an obstacle, but you're able to overcome that, you're like, oh,
Yeah,
okay. Like, I'm kind of almost, and again, not to make it in a negative way, but you're almost glad you went through that to
yeah,
get to where you're at. And you're like, oh, I'm satisfied with this. This is us. And like, where are we going to take this on the next project, the next EP, next song?
definitely.
So I loved, yeah. And I mean, too, like you guys have a music video, obviously you did
Mhm.
for Change of Heart, the title track, which is again, I think it sets the mood for you guys. And I got a lot of
Yeah.
almost like the being outside again, like not to bring it back to movements, but the feel
Uh,
something kind of like that
yeah. Yeah.
cover. I was like, that's really, really cool. How was that to get to create a music video and kind of now, okay, you have the song from what you wrote, you have it, but now you get to visually put something
Yeah.
together. How was that?
It was awesome. So we work with this guy named Dalton Voss. He's an extremely good friend of mine. He's been doing music videos for
Yeah.
either bands I've been in or bands that I've got to witness do it. It's just he's amazing to work with, and he just knows what he's doing. He knows the shots that look good.
Mhm.
It was great, and we had some assistants too. A good friend of mine, Yeshua Flores, was an assistant, and he's been around. He knows all the shots. And then my friend Fonz, who's amazing too. I think having the right people does, because I'm by no means a director right now.
Mhm.
Like I have no idea what I'm doing in that sense. I know what I wanted it to look like. I know what the ideas of everything in my brain were and what I wanted it to look like on a screen. I had no idea how to get there. So
Right.
having these people who do and understand what it's like shot by shot to kind of create it almost for us in that sense, it's amazing. And I think watching the video back and going through a few iterations of it, it's crazy. It's crazy to
Mhm.
to be able to see yourself play in that sense,
Mhm.
and see like a music video because I grew up watching music videos my whole life. So
Right.
now being able to be in a music video and it be cool is
Yeah.
awesome. It's really cool. So I think that was one of the most fun experiences I've ever had being in a band. Because it's the last step. It's right before you're gonna release it. You're making a music video. You're just trying to visualize how cool you want to look. Cool. Everything looks cool, and I was one of the most fun things ever.
Yeah, it seemed, and I forget what part, maybe around the 2 minute mark, a little after, where I don't know if it's a lens or what it is, but it like
Yeah,
zeroes in on you guys. And I'm like, to me, that was just, wow, this is a talented director in order to catch these moments
yeah,
in this video. And again, I love music videos. I think I hate how they almost became, I don't want to say obsolete, but there was such an importance back in the day for them. And
yeah.
now it's like you make them, but hopefully that person goes and actually watches it. Where
It's
nowadays I was like,
yeah,
oh, let me look at TikTok. So I love to see like a well done one like you guys had where I was like, I hope people went to go watch that because
yeah.
it's beautifully done.
I do really think that now music videos are so I guess obsolete's the only word, but
Yeah.
I think now they're trending down a direction where people are making music videos to splice it up and put it on TikTok, which,
Mm-hmm.
by no means is that like a bad thing. However, I think it would be cooler if music videos became a thing again,
Yeah.
became like as maybe not as important as the music itself, but still a big factor in the music process. Because I mean, looking back at all of these bands that I love and like listen to, I regularly watch the music videos, like
Mm-hmm.
the Citizen music videos, the Movements music videos. Even
Yeah.
going back even further, like Thrice is one of my favorite bands of
Oh.
all time, like one of the best bands ever. Watching
Mm-hmm.
their old music videos, Thursday's old music videos, like these
Yes.
these are these are the things that create the band's look and how they are and how most people remember them
Right.
even past the music. And I feel like we're kind of straying away from that. And now I wouldn't even say all about the music, but it's about what you see in 30 seconds rather than what you see in 3.5 minutes. And we're really trying to push away from that. Like we're a band that wants to be seen as like cinematically as possible almost. Like we really just care about music videos and the full production of a thing. So
Mm-hmm.
we really push for it, and we're hoping that eventually kind of the pendulum swings back around and
Yeah.
music
Oh,
videos become cool again.
oh, I love that. A band I had on here, Roderick, they're very similar to that, where they do a thing even with the different colors, like of
Yeah,
their themes or on like Instagram, but like their videos and they do all that. And I'm like, good, there's bands doing that want to do that because that's me.
yeah,
Like I get it. We're in a very like I don't want to just say ADHD world, but a world where it's like,
yeah,
all right, like, catch me for 10 seconds. No, bring it back.
yeah.
I love that you brought Thrice up because yeah, that is one of mine. I don't know how many, gosh, which one would this be? But I don't know. 118, episode 119. I
Yeah.
have yet to have someone really on here gush about Thrice. So I was like, when you said that, I
Oh,
was like, it
favorite
took me
band.
how long? I love Thrice so much. I feel like they're still they're underrated in my opinion. When people talk about like all the emo music or whatever you want to call Thrice, because I don't really
Yeah.
believe they're emo, but like for me, I'm like, let's talk about them. I don't hear
Oh,
anybody talking, or even Thursday.
love
Oh,
them.
favorite of all time.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think Thrice probably is like a at like seriously a top three band for me.
yeah.
They like the Illusion of Safety and then the Artist in the Ambulance. Those two
Mhm.
albums just oh my god, like I listen to
Yeah.
those on repeat like every day.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
good. And Thursday too, like just an amazing band. But Thrice has really just like shaped what we kind of sound like to an extent.
Mhm.
Like we, and especially the new stuff, it's very Thricey. It's very like post hardcore emo stuff, which is
Mhm.
it's what we all listen to. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't feel like a lot of people mention Thrice anymore, and I think they're just one of, if not the coolest bands ever. They're just
I,
so cool.
Oh, and I'm like I stand by it that they're like almost like that fine wine band that got better as they went. I know
Yes.
people will always kill me on there like, okay, but like illusion to safety and this. I'm like, I
Yeah, yeah,
get it.
yeah.
I get it.
Amazing.
It was really
Yeah, yeah,
great.
yeah.
Like listen to Beggars.
Yeah,
Listen to
Beggars is
that
amazing.
record. Like you go back and you listen to those records and it's like again, no wonder why I was drawn because you do hear that post-hardcore
Yeah,
kind of element. And I'm always that person where I'm like, it's post-hardcore season when it's like cloudy and like rainy. And like that's what your music to me. I'm like, if it was
yeah,
cloudy and rainy and I needed to just sit there in my thoughts, like
yeah.
that's Commoner. That's what it is. That's the band.
Yeah, I think everything in terms of how I don't even know how to explain it. I think even the oh my god, I don't even know what the word to put it is. Like even like the To Be Everywhere is to Be Nowhere era of that band,
Mhm.
like they changed everything. Like they like are a completely different band now.
Yeah.
Completely different.
Yeah.
And still amazing. Still amazing. I
Hmm.
think as songwriters, they're just incredible. I think for us, we just kind of strive to be, to a degree, kind of doing that. I think we try to switch it up every once in a while because we don't want to be one of those bands who makes the same album six
Hmm.
times in a row. And we just won't be. So
Yeah.
um, I think Thrice has always been an influence for that way. They've changed their sound so drastically over the years where their older stuff kind of is emo post hardcore, and then you
Right.
kind of go even further, and then they start using like baritone guitars and
Yeah.
being weird, and it's just cool. It's just awesome.
Hmm.
So I think for us that's kind of our thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess too, like, being in a band and doing music, I guess if you could go back to your younger self
Yeah,
before you started all this and before this EP, and just if you could tell yourself one thing that you wish you knew that you know now, what would that be?
man, that's a good question. I think writing as much music as possible
Hmm.
because there was definitely a stretch where myself personally, my turnaround time for songs would just be longer.
Yeah.
And I don't think that ruined opportunities for us necessarily, but I do wish we had more material to kind of build off of. That's just more of like a personal band thing. I don't know what everyone else's response would be, but I'm
Yeah.
sure it would be similar. Um, yeah, I think that's all. That's really all that I would say for that. Just more output for myself personally.
Yeah. So anyone else listening, like I always love to like have someone maybe get into maybe if they're a band or they're getting into that, like listen to people that are going through it, and
Yeah,
maybe take that into what they're doing too, because
definitely.
it's tough. And before I let you go, and I've enjoyed this so much, before I let you
Yeah,
go, I would love to know what is next for you guys. Is there
yeah,
anything? I mean, gosh, we're in 2025. I can't believe that. I know we're in Memorial Day, and I should be like, hey, it is 2025. We've been how long?
yeah.
But what are you looking forward to this year for your band?
I think so. There's a lot of stuff that I can't say, unfortunately. However, we will be touring a lot. We will be writing a lot,
Okay.
and I'm really excited for those tours and a lot of the stuff we're writing. Coming sooner than later, which is nice. Yeah, I think just being on the road. I think that's what I'm most excited for. I've never toured like in places that I'm unfamiliar with. I've only
Hmm.
toured places that I'm familiar with, like California and Texas, and just anywhere that's near us.
Right.
So I think it's going to be nice to kind of get get past that barrier and take more risks, and that's exactly what we're doing. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I guess if there, what is there a bucket list? I mean, again, you can't maybe talk,
Yeah,
well, you can because you're not going to say where you're going. Is
yeah,
there a
yeah.
bucket list place you would love to play and get to go see?
I think bucket list place to play would be New York, just
Hmm.
because like family ties, and just I love New York so much.
Yeah.
However, I've seen it, so I think my bucket list place to play that I've never seen is Japan. Like I think
Hmm.
that would be awesome, and the scene out there is crazy.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of friends that have played in Japan before, and they just say it's the coolest place they've ever played.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, I mean that's my main thing. My main thing is like I want to leave the country and tour outside of the country. I would really
Hmm.
like to see like Europe a lot.
Yeah.
That would be super cool. That's more or less like I just want to see
Right.
it.
Exact.
Playing there
Right.
would be cool, but
Right.
I just want to see it all. Yeah,
Yeah, like that's the bonus is to get play, but to see
yeah,
it. But I
yeah,
agree, like, yeah, that
yeah,
would
yeah.
be phenomenal. And I guess I'm gonna
Same.
post all the links so everybody checks the EP out and you guys out.
Cool.
But say somebody wants to listen and like, hey, where can I check you out? Where's the best place to find you guys?
We're kind of on everything, but Spotify is my go-to.
Mhm.
Spotify is just the place where,
Yeah,
I think most people have now. So if you just look us up on Spotify, it'll be there.
awesome.
Yeah,
But oh, Roman, this has been so great and so
I
awesome.
appreciate it.
And again, like I truly do love the EP. I think it's
Thank
really,
you.
really great. It's right up my alley. And I'm hoping to push it out to other people, be like, listen to
Absolutely.
this because this is really, really
Yeah.
good. Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, this has been so
Cool.
great. Thank you so much for taking time and coming on.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. This was awesome.
Oh my gosh.
It's kind of rare that like I've done a few podcasts recently, and
There
this
we
one was very
go.
fun. I was invested and very
Aw-
happy.
Awesome. I'm happy to
Yeah.
hear it. That's my number one thing is like I always want to make something that one I would want to listen to and make it worth people's time because they
Yeah.
literally you're taking time out of your day to come on and sit on a podcast and
Definitely.
time is valuable. So I really, really appreciate that.
No, I appreciate it a ton.
And all right, guys, that was my conversation with Roman. Again, such a fun conversation. And I could really tell why I was drawn to Commoner immediately hearing them. I think you guys hear that too. A lot of the things I love, they represent. So I love that. All links below to go check out Commoner. I would love after you listen to this episode, if you go check them out, let me know if you like them. I think a lot of you listening that listen every week, this is up your alley too. So I'm so glad to introduce you to this band if you don't know them already. As for our show, we will be back next week with a brand new episode. I'm really excited. It's kind of like a podcast crossover, and it's really made me feel seen. So I hope you guys enjoy that one on the way. If you are enjoying this show, please subscribe, follow us. It helps support our little show more than you'll ever know. I truly appreciate you all that have done that, as well as a positive rating and review. It not only helps our podcast, but any podcast you love, please do that. I hope you guys have a great week listening to music. I know we've got the new Turnstile on the way at the end of the week. Turnstile summer is here, and I will see you guys next time. All right, bye, guys.